welcome to Insights with Nandu. I hope you're enjoying this channel. I hope you've subscribed, and if you like the video, please do like, comment and re-share. A couple of episodes ago, we talked about stress and how to manage stress. So some of you wrote in and said, yes, very interesting, thank you. Can you talk about work-life balance and how do we kind of manage this work-life balance in our working lives? Very good question. I'm going to share with you a few tips from my own life. So first, I'm a workaholic. So confession, right out there, I'm a workaholic. I enjoyed the work that I did, and I used to work long hours. And in many ways, a successful career, one of the prerequisites for that is the ability to work hard. And occasionally that means staying up late. Occasionally that means working weekends as well. However, what is also important to realize for yourself and for your team members is if people work at that kind of intensity continuously over a long period of time, then you run the risk that people burn out. So people need to be able to step out, recharge, and have a life outside of work. This is also important, as we said, some time back, in how you define yourself, your self-identity. We should not allow this for ourselves, nor for our people. We should not allow this identity to be inextricably intertwined with their work identity, because that doesn't prepare them for life after that role. And that's a very important part of our responsibility as leaders, to look after our people. So what should you do? The first thing I would say is set some priorities and set some limits. In my case, for example, I have not missed a single birthday for our children or family members, the nuclear family. I haven't missed a single school meeting or a school event that the children were involved in. There were times when I worked weekends. There were times when I stayed late and worked till 11, 12 at night, or even all night if I had to. I traveled when I needed to travel, but I had some non-negotiables that I worked around and tried to manage my schedule around those non-negotiables. And I did this throughout my career, when I was a brand manager all the way to when I was a CEO. So first thing, if you wish to make the time for something that is truly important to you outside of work from a family point of view, make that a priority and then figure out how to fit everything else around that. You can do it if you want to. Second thing, at work, an interesting truism is work expands to fill the time that is available. So one of the things that sucks up a lot of time for all of us is meetings, interminable meetings. And people just go on and they talk round and round. So what I used to do, especially when I was CEO and had a little more control, I used to set time limits, and I used to follow very rigidly the time limits for the meetings. So people knew they had to be concise, succinct in their communications, and then we needed to discuss as well. I also tried to make sure I did not schedule any meetings after 6:30 p.m. I started work early in the morning, 7:30 a.m. But after 6:30 p.m., because I dropped my children to school and then came straight into work. So after 6:30 p.m., I did not schedule any meetings. Frequently, there were some overruns and there was some work that carried on till later, and that happened. But I tried not to schedule meetings after 6:30. Part of this is the discipline, really, to keep the meetings tight, the discipline to keep the meetings focused and don't let them ramble all over the place. Frequently in our meetings, people tend to confuse and try to talk about strategic issues and operational issues in the same meeting. So they jump from here to here, here, back there, here to there. And that makes meetings very unfocused, unstructured. So how to manage meetings is a very important skill that you need to master, particularly when you are the person chairing the meeting. It's good for you, it's good for your team if you keep them very focused, very structured, so people know what to expect. Coming out of the meeting, you have an action plan, everybody knows what is expected from them, and then you follow up the next time you meet on that particular topic. The next tip I'd like to share with you is deal with each issue as far as possible. Deal with each piece of paper that comes in front of you. Deal with each issue that comes in your email once. Okay? When you pick it up, deal with it, finish it, give it attention, focused attention, finish with it, set it aside, and then move on to the next one. Because unless it's something that needs more information and you need to park it and come back to it, that's okay. That's okay. Don't make a decision based on imperfect information. But as far as possible, try to deal with issues. One, when you deal with it, close it. Don't leave it open, because when you leave it open, you just add to your workload, because the next time you come back to it, you're going to have to reread everything to once again get up to speed, and that's just a waste of time. Next tip, set priorities. Be very aware and separate what is important from what is urgent. Frequently in our working lives, the urgent overtakes the important. So we are talking and this conversation is important to us. Suddenly I get a phone call that is urgent. So suddenly I'll say, hold on a minute, and I go to my phone and I start talking on my phone. So that is where the urgent overtakes the important. The moment I do that, I have made a choice. And when I make that choice, and maybe this is a serious issue, maybe it's not a serious issue, but having made that choice, I have automatically deprioritized what is important, which is this particular interaction. And that means I have to come back to it and I have to start all over again in that particular process, and that wastes time. So if you're doing something, separate, prioritize what's important, what's urgent. When you're doing something important, silence your phone or give it to your secretary. Tell them to disturb you only if there's an earthquake or something. Otherwise, stay focused, complete what is important. Don't multitask. If you try to multitask, you will waste more time. So focus on one thing, do it, particularly the important stuff, do it, and then move on. So ultimately, it's a question of making up your mind and setting your priorities at a personal level. If work-life balance is important to you, then start by asking yourself the question, what are those activities or times that are important to me, which I'm not going to allow work to interfere with, unless there's an emergency. And in an emergency, look, all bets are off and you roll up your sleeves and you do what you have to do. But in the normal course of time, make that decision up front. And once you've made that decision up front, stick with it, be disciplined, and also share that with your team members, saying, you know what, this is what I'm doing. And if you, as the leader of the team, set that example, others in your team will also follow, and they'll learn how to set healthy work-life balance going forward. And that's very important, because if you don't do that, you'll frequently have people who get burnt out because of too much work or too much stress. So just a few short tips to address the questions that some of you asked me coming out of the episode on stress. I hope you found these little few tips from my personal experience useful. If you liked this video, please click like. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And please do comment and reshare this video with your friends, colleagues, and others who might benefit. Thank you.